Hi poets and writers, I'm Kate Spivey and today I'm going to be doing the Poet's Book tag, which is a tag that was started by Michelle Flores over on Shelley Flowers Reads and Writes. I'm so excited to have been tagged in this. I think this tag is fantastic, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. She named each section of the tags after different poems, which I think is really cool. So the first one is Sonnet. What is a book of poetry that you love? I'm gonna go with one that probably nobody has heard of. This is one that I read in college and cried through, and then really found no talk about this poet online, really not a lot else written by them at the time at least. But I really fell in love with this collection, and it got me through a time when I really needed to read about this kind of stuff, and that is Sunday Afternoons with Tolstoy by Lynn, Burris, Butler. It's a very thin little collection. This one talks about sickness and sisterhood and teaching, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful collection, and so I always hold this one really, really dear to my heart. Golden Shovel. Is there a poet whose work you wish you could emulate? This one, I kind of hemmed and hawed from it and then was like, oh no, there's an obvious answer, and that is Patricia Smith, because Tea House of the Almighty was some of the best writing I have ever read for a poem. I was so blown away by her writing that I wish I could write that vividly. I wish I could write that beautifully, where all of the words have so much impact. So Patricia Smith is my answer for that one. Elegy. Which dead poet would you like to take a workshop with? This was another one where I kind of thought about a few. Audre Lorde was one that I thought would be really interesting. I thought about like Lord Byron would have an interesting workshop for sure. But the honest answer, I think, is Adrienne Rich. And that is because I learned about Adrienne Rich and sort of fell in love with their story and their poetry and everything about her. And then literally like 2 months later, she died. And it was like, it wouldn't have even blipped on my radar like 2 months before. I had just fallen in love with Adrienne Rich's poetry, and then she passed away. So it would have been incredible to have been a fan of her during her lifetime and to have been able to take part in a workshop by her, or to read more of her poetry, to like have listened to her read. So that's my answer for that one. I'm not sure I'm gonna say this correctly. Ekphrastic? The right way to say that? What is a work of art that isn't a poem but feels like one? Which is a really cool question, and I was trying my hardest to think of it, but you know what I thought of in the end that I decided I'm gonna go with? Have you ever seen statues by Bernini? He's the one who can make like solid rock, marble, look like bed sheets, or like see-through sheets, like someone's wearing a veil. He's that guy. Or like when you have the ones where they're like pressing into skin and skin looks so skin-like, and like the texture of it and like it looks like it's soft. That kind of skill, to me, that's poetry. That's poetic. That's absolutely beautiful. Any Berninis I've ever seen have always been just like stunning. I haven't seen any in person. The ones that I've seen pictures of, I've been just blown away. It's always so beautiful. Ghazal. What is a book of poetry that you can read over and over again? So I chose one that I have read over and over again. This one was another one I got into in college. It hit me exactly where I was in college, and I've emulated this poet. I've seen this poet read. I love his work completely, and that's Matthew Dickman's All-American Poem. There are some just beautiful poems in here. Some really funny, some really interesting poems that I really love. I love many of the poems in this collection. I have not really gotten as into his other work, but this one was the one where I got into exactly the right time. I read it multiple times. I still go back and read some of these poems because I love it. Prose. Who is a fiction/nonfiction author who you think writes like a poet? And the first person who came to mind was Laini Taylor, because Strange the Dreamer is so poetic, absolutely beautiful. But you know who the real answer is? Annie Proulx, the writer who did Brokeback Mountain. Now, if you haven't read any of their work, she's an incredible writer. This is like reading poetry but in prose form, and it can almost be tiring in the way that like All the Pretty Horses can be almost tiring to read because it's so descriptive and beautiful. This obviously, this isn't the most famous work is Brokeback Mountain for sure, which was really, it was quite beautiful to read. It's so much like poetry. It's so beautiful, it's so descriptive and so lovely. And you just, as you're reading it, you're just like, I'm never gonna be that good of a writer. My jealousy level is up here. Spoken word. Which poet's work do you love to hear performed? And this is easy for me. This is another one. There are some I was thinking back and forth, but honestly, truly, Sarah Kay, I have here No Matter the Wreckage. She just has such a joyful way of performing poetry, and there can be such depth and such intricacies in like the wording of her poetry, and on paper it is just as deep and dimensional, but like just feeling the joy and feeling the passion radiate from her is something a lot of poets don't have that quality. A lot of poets can get across like emphasis really well, but not everyone reads with so much like happiness and like imparts so much joy onto you as Sarah Kay. She just does that so beautifully. I always come away from watching any of her poems just blown away. Just blown away. I love the artistry. What is your favorite novel in verse? If you've been here for more than a minute, I think I've talked about The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I feel like this is the pinnacle of what a novel in verse can be, and I would love to see someone try to stand up to this, but I feel that this is doing everything that a novel in verse can do, and it's doing it phenomenally. Like this is the Rosetta Stone of how novel in verse should be. It's so beautiful. It's stunning, and I can't recommend it enough. The story was good, the poetry was good, I was in love. I read this in a day, okay? I was so into it. Okay, and then she decided to throw a hard one at us. So spell out a word using titles of poetry books. This is going to take me a hot second. Okay, I decided to be a little cheeky. So my word is, from the beginning of all of these titles, S-T-A-N, because we stan poetry. Is that cheating? But there you have it. That is my poet's book tag, originally created by Shelley Flowers Reads and Writes, who I will link down below, so you can go over and watch her video as well. And if you're watching this and you want to do this tag, I officially tag you to do it. Anyone interested in doing this tag, please definitely jump on board. I'd love to see what other people's answers are for all of these great questions. And I will have the questions also down below, and like I said, I'll have the link to the original tag video below as well. And yeah, that is all for me today. I really enjoyed doing this. I hope you're doing well. Good luck to you, good luck to all of us, and I will speak to you again very soon. That was backwards, but there you go. Bye!